We are back with another Wizkids review. This time, we're going to be covering Spell Effects Mighty Conjurations. There's a bunch of really cool, unique things for your D&D campaign and your map setting in here. If you want to see what these are, stay tuned. So, I first actually saw these at PAX Unplugged, and I actually did an interview with Wizkids where we talked about these. But you get a bunch of really cool figures inside this box, so I'll try to go through them here. We got Create Bonfire, 2 different healing spirits, which I'll talk about, a rope trick, Mordant sword, Bones of Earth, Guardian of Faith, Force Cage box, Force Cage cage, Leoman's tiny hut, Mordant faithful hound, Maximilian's earthen grasp, Leoman's secret chest, arcane eye, dancing lights, flaming sphere. A lot of really cool stuff. Let's go ahead and pop this open, and then we'll see what we've got here. So it looks like I don't have a knife here with me, so we'll just have to kind of do this, excuse me, the old-fashioned way with my fingers. So we'll peel off the tape here. We've got 2 layers of clamshell plastic with everything inside it. I've got a Dwarven Forge kind of grid here that we'll put a mini on it, and we'll kind of show how these things compare. Alright, so I brought in Archon the Cruel from the last video. So first up, we have our globules, if you will, if you're a Critical Role fan here, of light for our dancing light spells. What's interesting is there was a Dancing Lights mini released in the last set of Wizkids spell effects, and it was all 4 of them together to make a humanoid shape. This time, they decided to release them as 4 separate light sources, so if you wanted to move them around, let's say, on the battlefield to shed more light, you have that option. So, 4 dancing light minis. We have, very simple here, a Mordant sword. I think you can see it's like a little kind of glowy blue ethereal sword. It's got a little bit of runes along the edge there. Kind of works, again, could be a spiritual weapon as well. We have a Mordant faithful hound, which again, a kind of glowy blue, translucent, mastiff looking mini. Looks a little small, I think, compared to the actual Mastiff minis, but I could be mistaken. We have the sensor of an arcane eye, right? So this is, again, it's got a little eyeball. This is something that normally nobody would see, but when you're casting arcane eye, something like this moves through the space. In my opinion, in my experience, most of the time anybody uses arcane eye, they use it to scope something out before they go in, so I'm not sure how much this would actually appear on one of your maps, but your mileage may vary. Create Bonfire, the cantrip. What I found out is interesting is the fire. I don't know if it's supposed to, but it actually removes from the fire kind of base here. So you could, in theory, cast your Create Bonfire on the ground. It's a 5-foot cube. It just stays there and deals the damage. Or I guess you could just use this as an actual bonfire for your campaign. I don't know if it's supposed to come apart. Obviously, it looks like it. We have a Leoman's secret chest, which is just a little tiny treasure chest. And as you can see, it does open and close. Nothing too crazy about that. This could also just be a regular treasure chest for any part of your regular campaign. Probably one of my favorite ones in this whole set here. We do have Rope Trick, which I think is hilarious. It's just a little coil of rope that comes up to the extra dimensional space where you go for your rope trick. And what I thought was interesting was we have a Healing Spirit Fae, which is like a little sprite type creature, and Healing Spirit Beast, which looks to be an Almirage, the sort of unicorn horned bunny rabbit that was popular in Tomb of Annihilation. Now, the Healing Spirit spell is the Ranger 2nd level spell. Ranger and Druid 2nd level spell that was added in Xanathar's Guide. But when I look at it, it doesn't say anything Oh, I guess it does. I'm sorry. It says the spirit looks like a transparent beast or fae of your choice. That was my mistake. I didn't think that was actually the case. It is. So that's the choice. You get to choose like a little fae spirit or a beast spirit. What it actually is doesn't have any mechanical impact on how the spell works in your game. But there you go. Again, I don't really feel like I need to zoom in too close on these, but it's just a little green translucent fairy and a significantly larger Almirage. Alright, moving on to the second things that were contained inside. We have our Force Cage Cube, which I can zoom us out here so you can get a better look. So it is looks like a 10-foot, basically a 10-foot by 10-foot cube that you can use to encase your allies or your enemy inside. We have a Leoman's Tiny Hut bubble as well, which I do really like this one a lot. Pretty simple, but effective. We have a Guardian of Faith, which is one of the stationary. It's a 4th level cleric spell that just deals damage to anybody that comes by it. And this one I do actually want to showcase because I thought it was pretty cool. It's like a glowing ethereal knight with a big sword and like a sort of oval shield here. I really like this sculpt. This could also be used as like a wraith or a specter. We have a flaming sphere. This one I'm actually not really that keen on. I don't actually feel like it looks like a ball of fire at all. I feel like it just kind of looks like some sort of weird pustule or weird popcorn thing. But, it moves around on the map like Flaming Sphere does. I think there's better options for just like base pieces of fire that do a better Flaming Sphere than this one. But it is what it is. A Maximilian's Earthen Grasp. Just a nice hand made out of stone coming up out of the ground. Pretty sweet. We have our Bones of the Earth. We have 6. We do have 6. 6 of these pillars. So if you cast Bones of the Earth, it makes a bunch of stone pillars appear out of the ground. And as you can see here, we do have all the different stone pillars. And I actually like these. These have kind of the chalky feel of the Wizkids kind of stone and terrain pieces. So I like those. Again, could also be used to replicate a cave or stalactites or some sort of cave support system. I'm a fan of these as well. And lastly, the Force Cage spell, which as you can see is very large compared to Archon. As there's Archon inside. Here's our Force Cage cube. So I'm going to zoom this back out. We'll talk about how much this is and when you can get it. So from what I can tell by looking these up, the release date is sometime in February, and the price tag I think I saw was, stand by, I thought I had it, is $49.99 for this set. I'd be more likely to spend the money on this than I would be on any of the minis that we've talked about recently. I also just really like the size. I mean, look at the size of this Force Cage. Like, this is bigger than almost the size of my head. I think there are a lot of spells that will come in useful. Spells that are more popular, like Leoman's Tiny Hut, a Rope Trick, Dancing Lights, Conjure Bonfire. Spells I feel like that get used a little bit more often, Flaming Sphere. But the effects are just cool to have. Plus, I mean, this thing you can use to store, not that it's its purpose, but you could let's find out. You can use your Force Cage, it looks like, to store, if we lay down you can store all of your spell effects inside your Force Cage, which is not its intended purpose, but a nice little feature as well. Out of the minis I've unboxed recently, this is probably my favorite so far. I'm starting to get back into using physical maps in my D&D campaigns, and having these kind of things to replicate the spells and the spell effects on the map will help bring immersion to my players, and hey, right, that's part of the name of the channel. But I also just really like them, and I think it'd be cool. I play a bard in a campaign in my home game, and I use Leoman's Tiny Hut all the time. So it'd be cool to be like, alright, I cast Leoman's Tiny Hut and just plop it down on the map, and we're good to go. So, let me know what you all think in the comments down below. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please feel free to do so. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Stay tuned for the last of the 4 video series as we talk about Halaster's tumultuous templates.